Most people don't run out of things to say because they're boring. They run out of things to say because they're terrified. Terrified of silence. Terrified of being judged. Terrified that if they stop talking for even 3 seconds, people will finally realize they're not interesting enough. So they fill conversations with noise, random facts, forced jokes, questions they don't even care about. And slowly, without noticing, every interaction starts to feel exhausting. But here's the strange part. The most magnetic people in the room are rarely the loudest. They don't chase conversations. They don't panic during silence. And somehow, people lean toward them anyway. Why? Because charisma was never about having endless things to say. It's about understanding human emotion at a level most people never reach. Maya Angelou once revealed a truth so powerful, it changes the entire way you look at conversation. People may forget your words, but they never forget how you made them feel. That means the real secret isn't learning conversation tricks. It's learning how to create emotional gravity. And once you understand that, awkward silences stop feeling dangerous. People start opening up to you naturally. And conversations stop feeling like performances. But there's one psychological mistake almost everyone makes before they even say their first sentence, and it silently kills connection before it begins. The fear of silence has ruined more personalities than rejection ever did. The moment a conversation pauses, most people panic internally. Their brain starts racing. Say something, anything. Don't make this awkward. And that desperation changes everything. Their voice tightens. Their words lose meaning. They stop connecting and start performing. But powerful communicators understand something almost nobody else does. Silence is not proof of failure. It's proof that something real might finally happen. Maya Angelou understood human emotion deeply. People don't trust those who constantly fill space. They trust those who can sit inside a moment without trying to escape it. And once you stop fearing silence, you notice something disturbing about most conversations around you. Almost nobody is truly present. Most people think great conversationalists are born with faster minds. But if you watch closely, the people who always seem to know what to say are rarely thinking about themselves at all. They're listening in a way most people never do. Not waiting for their turn, not rehearsing clever responses, not scanning for ways to sound impressive. They listen for emotion, and that changes everything, because when someone feels deeply heard, conversation stops becoming a performance. Walls drop, energy shifts. People begin revealing parts of themselves they normally hide from the world. That's why certain people can talk to strangers for hours, while others run out of words in minutes. It's not intelligence, it's emotional attention. Maya Angelou understood this better than most. Human beings are starving for presence. In a world where everyone wants to be seen, almost nobody knows how to truly see someone else. And ironically, the moment you stop obsessing over what you should say next, words begin arriving naturally. You notice tiny details, a hesitation in someone's voice, a hidden insecurity behind a joke, a flicker in their eyes when they mention something meaningful, and suddenly conversations stop feeling shallow because you're no longer speaking to their surface. You're speaking to the part of them nobody else notices. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't actually listen because real listening is dangerous. The moment you fully pay attention to another human being, you risk feeling something real yourself. And many people would rather stay emotionally protected than emotionally connected, which explains why some conversations feel instantly magnetic, while others feel empty no matter how many words are spoken. Some people walk into a conversation carrying one hidden obsession: how do I make this person like me? And the moment that thought takes over, connection starts dying in real time, because now every word becomes calculated, every laugh becomes slightly forced. Every opinion gets filtered. Every silence feels threatening. Instead of experiencing the conversation, they begin managing it, controlling it, performing inside it. And strangely, the harder they try to impress people, the more forgettable they become. But think about the rare conversations that stayed in your mind for years. The people who changed your energy in minutes. The ones who made you feel unusually comfortable, understood, alive. Most of them were not trying to prove anything. They weren't speaking to gain approval. They were genuinely curious about you. That's the paradox Maya Angelou quietly understood about human connection. People don't open up because they're impressed. They open up because they feel emotionally safe. And emotional safety cannot exist where performance exists. The need to impress creates invisible tension. People feel it instantly, even if they can't explain it. It turns conversations into interviews, auditions, subtle competitions. Nobody relaxes. Nobody reveals anything real. That's why so many interactions today feel empty, even when people talk for hours. But the moment someone feels you are no longer trying to win them over, something changes. Their guard lowers, their voice softens, their real personality begins appearing between the sentences. And suddenly, you no longer need interesting things to say. Because real conversations are no longer built from cleverness. They're built from emotional permission, which raises a deeper question most people avoid asking themselves. If you stop trying to impress everyone, who would you actually become in conversation? There's a reason some people can say very little and still completely own a room. It's not confidence. It's not beauty. It's not even intelligence. It's emotional presence. And most people have almost none of it. You can feel the difference instantly. Some conversations feel strangely alive, even when the words are simple. Others feel empty no matter how entertaining the person sounds. That's because human beings are not only reacting to language, they're reacting to attention, energy, emotional sincerity. They're reacting to whether you are truly there. Maya Angelou understood this at a level most people never reach. She knew people forget details, facts, polished lines, but they never forget the emotional atmosphere you create around them. And that changes the entire purpose of conversation. Suddenly, communication is no longer about trying to sound impressive. It becomes about making someone feel safe enough to exist honestly in your presence. Think about how rare that is today. Most people enter conversations distracted, guarded, mentally somewhere else. They smile while checking their phones. They ask questions they don't care about. They nod without listening. And over time, this creates a strange emotional loneliness where people are surrounded by conversation, but starving for connection. That's why emotional presence feels almost magnetic now. When someone gives you their full attention without rushing, judging, or performing, your nervous system notices immediately. You relax without understanding why. You start revealing things you didn't plan to say. And strangely, the less obsessed you become with saying the perfect thing, the more powerful your presence becomes. Because people are not searching for flawless words. They're searching for someone who makes them feel emotionally visible. But there's one hidden behavior that silently destroys emotional presence in almost every interaction. And most people do it constantly without realizing it. There's a version of you that appears only around other people. A careful version, a filtered version, a version constantly monitoring itself in real time. And most of the time, you don't even notice it happening. The fear of awkwardness is incredibly subtle. It hides beneath small behaviors, over-explaining, nervous laughter, talking too fast, filling every silence before it can breathe. But underneath all of it is one deeper fear most people never admit out loud. If this moment becomes uncomfortable, maybe they'll stop liking me. So instead of expressing themselves naturally, they begin managing other people's reactions. They shapeshift, adjust, perform, and over time, this creates a strange emotional exhaustion where conversations stop feeling human and start feeling strategic. Maya Angelou understood something devastating about human connection. People can feel when you're emotionally hiding. Even if your words sound confident, your nervous system communicates the truth underneath them. That tension leaks into the conversation, And without realizing why, people stop feeling fully connected to you. But the moment you stop resisting awkwardness, something powerful happens. You become calmer, more grounded, more unpredictable in the best way. You stop treating silence like danger and start treating it like space. Space to observe, space to feel, space to respond honestly instead of react nervously. And ironically, this is where real charisma begins. Not when you eliminate awkwardness, but when awkwardness no longer controls you. Because the people who seem the most socially free are not the people who never feel uncomfortable. They're the people who stopped obeying that discomfort. And once you realize how much of your personality has been shaped by the fear of social rejection, an even darker question begins to emerge. How much of your real self has never actually entered the conversation? One sentence from Maya Angelou explains why some people stay in your memory forever, even when you barely remember what they said. People will forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. At first, it sounds simple, almost poetic, but hidden inside that sentence is a brutal truth about human connection that most people completely miss. Words are not the main thing people remember. Emotion is. That means when someone walks away from a conversation with you, their brain is not storing a transcript. It's storing a feeling, tension or comfort, judgment or safety, pressure or freedom. And this completely changes the way you think about running out of things to say, because suddenly conversation is no longer about entertaining people endlessly. It's about emotional impact. Think about the people who made you feel deeply seen at certain moments in your life. Maybe they didn't give perfect advice. Maybe they weren't even particularly charismatic by normal standards. But somehow, after speaking with them, you felt calmer, more understood, more like yourself. That feeling stayed. Maya Angelou understood that human beings are emotional memory machines. We remember atmospheres more than sentences, energy more than information, which is why some people can speak with flawless confidence and still leave no emotional trace, while others say a few honest words and become unforgettable. And this is where most social advice completely fails people. It teaches techniques, scripts, conversation hacks. But real connection was never created through memorized lines. Human beings can feel authenticity faster than language. The strange part is, once you understand this, you stop obsessing over saying the right thing. You start paying attention to something much deeper. What emotional experience are people having around you? Because whether you realize it or not, every conversation leaves a psychological fingerprint behind. And most people have no idea what kind of emotional fingerprints they've been leaving on others their entire lives. The most charismatic people are not the most polished people. They are the most emotionally honest. And that truth makes a lot of people uncomfortable because emotional honesty is terrifying. It means speaking without constantly calculating how you'll be perceived. It means allowing parts of yourself to exist without editing every reaction, every opinion, every pause. Most people never reach this level in conversation. They spend years building socially acceptable versions of themselves, then wonder why their interactions feel empty. But think about the rare people who instantly feel real to you. There's usually something unfiltered about them, something grounded. They laugh naturally. They admit awkwardness without collapsing under it. They don't rush to appear perfect. And because of that, people relax around them almost immediately. Maya Angelou understood that human beings are drawn toward emotional truth far more than social perfection. The problem is, most people enter conversations wearing invisible armor. They protect themselves with politeness, rehearsed responses, fake confidence, controlled emotions. And while that armor may prevent rejection, it also prevents connection. Because real connection requires emotional risk. It requires allowing someone to actually meet you instead of your performance. And ironically, the moment you stop obsessing over being impressive, you become more magnetic than before. Your words gain weight. Your silence gains presence. People stop feeling like they're talking to a carefully managed image and start feeling like they're talking to a human being. That's why some people can say simple things and still feel unforgettable. Their words carry emotional congruence. Nothing feels forced, nothing feels manipulative, and in a world full of people trying desperately to appear interesting, authenticity becomes almost hypnotic. But there's one final realization most people resist until very late in life. The reason you keep running out of things to say may have nothing to do with conversation at all. It may be because you've spent years disconnected from your real self, and eventually performances always run out of lines. Maybe the goal was never to become someone who always has the perfect thing to say. Maybe the real transformation is becoming someone who no longer fears being fully present. Because people who constantly run out of things to say are usually fighting invisible battles inside themselves. Fear of judgment, fear of silence, fear of being seen without a script. And over time, those fears turn conversations into performances instead of connections. But Maya Angelou understood something deeper about human nature. Human beings are not moved by flawless communication. They are moved by emotional truth, by presence, by the rare feeling that for a moment someone is genuinely there with them. And once you understand that, everything changes. Silence stops feeling like failure. You stop chasing approval in every sentence. You stop treating conversations like tests you have to pass. Instead, you begin listening differently, speaking differently, existing differently around people. And ironically, that's when words begin flowing naturally. Not because you memorized techniques, not because you became socially perfect, but because you finally stopped hiding behind performance. So the next time a silence appears in conversation, don't rush to escape it. Because that quiet moment might reveal something uncomfortable. The person you become when you stop performing may be far more powerful than the version that spent years trying to impress everyone.